Welcome back to the Prosperity with Purpose podcast. I am Jessica Heffley, and we've got some things to talk about today about my sabbatical. 5 lessons I learned from my sabbatical. Okay, so sabbatical. What is a sabbatical? What is that all about? I actually took almost 2 months off from my coaching practice, and I am going to tell you why I did it, what that means, what I learned from it. But first, let me preface loud and clear. I am not your boss. I am not your Holy Spirit. Don't go to whoever your superior is and like, well, Jessica told me I have to rest for 2 months or life won't work. My business won't grow. No, that is not what I am saying. What I always say is you have to listen to what the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. Everybody's life circumstance is different. I definitely had a different 2023 year than you did. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it because it was a lot. So this is just sharing my experience, the lessons that I learned, the fruit and the gift and the blessings that I gained from taking some time off, okay? Because I got sick and tired of saying over and over and over again, life is so busy. Life is just so busy. I got tired. I'm tired of hearing other people say that. I got tired of myself saying that. I got tired of that being the story of my life. So I made a radical change. Okay. And one of the 5 reasons is it just doesn't happen on purpose. We're going to get down. Okay. Let's just get into it. The number one reason why the lesson that I learned from my sabbatical. Okay. Wait. Oh, sorry. Let's sound effect. Maybe no, it's not the right one, but that's still fun, right? Let's find another one. Ching. Okay. I got to figure out which funny noise plays on which color button, and then we will get rolling with that. Okay. So 2023. Here we go. Here's what happened. We built a house. Have any of you ever built a house before? There's lots that go into it. Lots of emotions, lots of money, lots of time, lots of thought, lots of decisions, lots of things. So throw on building a house on top of our family has drastically changed in the last year and a half. We have gone from Rob being home with us almost all the time, having a really flexible life. We're so grateful through Plexus, the right network marketing company. That is our bread and butter. That's provided for lots of options and freedoms for our family. And my husband was still just looking for something that was like his. I do believe that men are called to work and provide, and something that was his. And so, anyway, he's had little backstory on me and my husband's marriage. He is the dreamer of our marriage. Like he has always had ideas. Like I remember when we first got married, he's like, "We're going to be millionaires," and I was like, I can't even fathom that. What does that even mean? Like people like us, that stuff like that doesn't happen to people like us. I had so much poverty mindset of thought, and no one ever told me that I couldn't do that. It was just naturally ingrained in me from my life experiences. My dad worked really really hard his entire life in a factory, 9 to 5, like swing shift. So sometimes he worked midnight, sometimes he worked days, sometimes he worked afternoons, steel-toed boots and safety goggles. I grew up with a work ethic that you worked hard for not very much money. You worked hard, but you went in debt every single Christmas. You worked hard, but everything you owned was used, old, falling apart. You had a good life, you never went without, but there was an extra. And so the concept of dreaming for me wasn't even there. Like it was never tapped into. So I'm very thankful for my husband in that. But anyways, so he has had lots of business ideas over the years, and they're all really hard to beat. When mine cost $34.95 to start, $35, and folded 7 figures year after year after year. So it's just a different model. So he had lots of business ideas that cost a lot of money to start, or a loan to start, or debt, or loan, and he had lots of ideas. And he always calls me the dream killer, but I like to call it discernment. I shot down a lot of those ideas. And thank goodness I did, because when the right one came around, the right one came around. And we were able to do that. We bought Arkansas Sportsman. It's a gun ammo supply store, all your needs in that tactical arena. And that's in Atkins, Arkansas, small town where we kind of used to live. And then, so bought that one, and then opened a brand new one, Graybeard Ammo, graybeardemerald.com. Check it out. In Conway, Arkansas, where we currently live and have lived for about 4 years, where we have our community, and it is it is an amazing thing, but it's been a lot of work. Okay, so not only do we have ammo subscriptions, guns, tactical needs, all of those things, but there also is a jiu-jitsu gym attached. He really had this vision. He has such a heart for vets, first responders, just men, to have a place to go to hang out to belong, more of a community. So it's way more than just a gun store. It is a place to be, to belong to. It's a man thing, okay? But anyways, so I'm very excited for him, very thankful. He has an amazing team. We have multiple employees, 2 locations, business loans to bills, taxes, debts, all the things, but it's growing. It's, it's a traditional business, so it's going to take multiple years to see the income from that. But anyways, it has transformed our life, from my husband being home a lot to my husband being gone almost every single day, getting these businesses started, all the stress, thought management, people that come along with that. It's a lot. And so that, on top of us building a house and living in a rent house. Can we just talk about that for a second? Because we had a great rent house. We were so grateful for that rent house. But when you're living in something that's not you, like not your permanent home, it's just like, it's hard. And so I had to do lots of mindset work very often on just around that, just around not being in the place where I didn't have any space, didn't have any extra. None of us had, like, y'all, like, we love each other. We love each other a lot, but sometimes you just need your own space. Just need to get away from everybody else for a minute. So anyways, all that to say, I was involved in 3 different masterminds last year. I'm not doing only doing 1 this year. So I've learned that I'm very much I love to intake information. I love to learn. I love, 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 love. But this year I'm committed to create more than I consume. And so I have really scaled back on that. I still have a coach, of course, myself, because I have made a commitment always. If I am a coach, if I am coaching you, if I am coaching paying clients, then I will always have a coach myself. That is just a no-brainer for me. That has absolutely transformed my life. And I constantly need someone to run things by, someone to help me see what my thoughts are creating for me, someone for me to be a sounding board for me, someone to help bring out blind spots for me. Like, that is just a must for me. And the beauty of it is every time where I sort through those things, work through those things, have a breakthrough in those areas, I then have the authority to help set you free in those areas too. The authority and the wisdom and the experience. So it's a beautiful thing. Anyways, all that to say, it was a lot going on last year. There was a lot going on last year, and right around October is when we moved into our new house. And so it was just like I was just feeling the weight of it all. It just was a lot. And for me, again, this is not for everybody. This is just my story. I got tired of saying my life is so busy. Life is so busy. Life is so busy. Like, I would have local friends that wanted to do something, and I found myself saying, I can't. I've got this going on or this going on. Or I just didn't have the mental capacity for it anymore. And so I decided to make some radical changes because I didn't want to say life is just so busy. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I didn't want to die saying my life is so busy. I wanted to be fully present. I wanted to enjoy it. So, back to my 5 lessons. Number 1, rest equals trust. And trust equals obedience. Let's unpack that, shall we? Okay, so many people are working their businesses and living their lives do. Okay, never resting, which means they're never even giving God a chance to show up for you, to provide for you in miraculous ways, to do things for your business, to send you the contacts, to send you the person, to download that supernatural idea that is going to transform your business, to give you that marketing idea, to give you that quote or that post to go and put on social media. If we're just going, also what happens? Then the only person that would get the credit is you. And apart from me, you can do nothing, is what the Bible says. And so rest is an example and a time and a chance for you to trust over and over and over and over and over and over through the Bible. I've been reading through the Old Testament. I'm like, I am like trucking through. I've never done this before. I like reading it this fast. Honestly, like I love the Bible. I love to read the Bible. I've been more of a New Testament person, but I am like, wait a second, there is a lot to unpack and a lot of beauty and a lot of truth and a lot of things that from the Old Testament that I need to read more and understand more. And so anyways, it's probably been since college since I have read the entire Bible all the way through. And when you're a freshman at Harding University, you're required to read it. So I don't know how much of it I actually did, way back then. But anyways, it's been really interesting. And so the Bible recap, highly recommend. That helps you. There's a daily reading plan, and then you can listen to her free podcast, and she helps explain like what's happening culturally, what's happening in that time, how to make sense of it all. Because it's confusing. Okay, if you're not familiar with it, even if you are familiar with it, or if you've never read the whole Bible before, there's some weird stories going on that may not make sense when you're like only focusing on it right there. But if you take a step back and see the big overarching picture of the entire Bible, it is a love story of God longing to redeem his people, to bring, he like rescues his people. They forget about it. They sin. So bad things happen. Somebody else comes along. He rescues his people. They forget. They sin. Like repeat. But Jesus is the ultimate sacrifice that saved us from all the sin and punishment and sacrifices that we should have been required to do or that we deserved. He took all of that for us. Anyways, that's a whole other episode. Let's go back to rest equals trust. Rest equals trust. It is relinquishing some control to somebody bigger than you. And also is obedience. Okay. It did not make sense for me for over 2 entire months to not be trying to get new clients. I mean, we built a house, y'all. If you've ever built a house under budget or right at budget, congratulations. Actually, don't think that is possible. Is that even possible? Anyway, so all that to say, we needed the income. The income would have been a nice thing to have. So in the natural, this is also how things work. In the natural, it never makes sense to take a break. It never makes sense to rest. It never makes sense not to work, not to go for it, not to do more. But over and over and over in the Bible, he talked about Sabbath. He set it apart for us. And I've seen over and over and over again, if you do not set that time apart, in some way, he's going to make you. Whether you're going to have a nervous breakdown or you're going to get physically sick or something else is going to happen, like it is required, but that's not in like the required of like, this is a rule, this is a requirement. Like it's a blessing that we are missing out on. Like if you set aside the time to rest and truly operate from rest instead of work, burnout, if you are resting on the regular, and then you can then work from a place of rest. What's fascinating to me when I was learning about Jewish culture, like back Bible culture, like to learn about how they did things and why they did things, and why we don't do the things to this day. Maybe we need to do more of the things today in this day and age. But the Sabbath started at sundown, which is really fascinating. It started with rest. You would think, oh no, the Sabbath starts in the morning. You wake up and you get to it. No, Sabbath started with rest. It started at sundown. It started with sharing a meal with those that they love. It started with remembering the Lord. It started with rest. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that countercultural to the world that we live in? And I want to be countercultural to the world that we live in. I don't know about you, but you probably do too if you're here and you're still listening. So anyways, I found that was fascinating. Rest equals trust. So it really was an exercise in trust for me. The Lord was whispering and over and over again, it's time to take a rest. It's okay to take a rest. Actually, I want you to take a rest, Jessica. Like he clearly told me, he's like, I want you to take the holidays to enjoy with your family, to settle your children and your husband into your new home, to find rest and rhythms with your family in your new space. I want you to rest and enjoy. So rest equals trust, and trust equals obedience to what the Lord has called you to. Number 2, change does not just happen. Your life is not just going to slow down. You have said it. Oh, just let me just ask you this question. How many times have you said, okay, but once this happens, then life will slow down. Once we get to this point, life will slow down. Once this thing gets off our to-do list, or this thing gets done, or this project, or this, then life will look different. It'll feel different. It'll be different. That's not me just clearing my throat. That is me asking you, did it ever happen? Probably not. I can almost promise you it is not. Because change does not just happen. It took radical decisions on my part, radical changes on my part. It was not easy to slow down. It was not easy to do this. It was not easy. My husband, who was in the midst, in the throes of these two new businesses, which I was seeing signs of like his physical health wasn't doing well, seeing signs of burnout in him, believing that this is what our family needed. And God was calling me to lead the way in this, to lead by example in this, for me to slow down, for me to attend to my husband, attend to my family, to show the example of what it looks like to live a slower paced life, to say no to all the activities and possibilities that are among us. Even in this was during the holiday season. We could have done something every single night, but it is okay for you to make the most important things in your life the most important. Actually, when you do that, I believe your business will be even more blessed because you're prioritizing your family and your marriage. And when those things are solid, when those things have the attention and the thought and the rhythms and the systems around them to help them function properly and with health, your business will thrive. Also, because you'll be able to truly focus on your business because the health will be increased in the other areas of your life. But anyways, change does not just happen. It is hard. It is hard to say no. It is hard to recalibrate. It is hard to rest if you are someone who is a doer and a worker and a succeeder and a planner and all those things. That they're hard. But biblically, I just got to go back to the Bible over and over and over and over and over again. It talks about rest a lot. And our dear friends have taught Cedar Rock Ministries. If you guys are unfamiliar with that, I talk about that ministry a lot. It's a phenomenal marriage ministry that does marriage retreats, personal marriage retreats. It's unlike anything you'll ever, ever, ever have experienced. We used to serve on the board for them, but it is like an experiential experience on how to connect with yourself, connect with your spouse, and connect with the Lord. But it's really all around rest as well. So check that out, cedarrockministries.com. But change does not just happen. How many times am I going to say that again? Change, it will not just happen. It is going to take you making powerful decisions, making powerful changes that will affect the rest of your life. So I was to the point. I was ready and I was willing, and I was not willing to not make powerful decisions for life to not be so busy. Number 3, some people will not understand. Okay. When you cancel, when you say no, when you don't show up to something that you had committed to or promised to, like some people will not understand. This is one of my fears, is when the Lord was whispering, like, you need to do this. And I'm like, no, but wait, Lord, like people had signed up for my mentorship. They had signed up for the program. They were expecting me to show up. They're expecting me to be there. They had already paid ahead of time. And so I had to work through a lot of those things. But I had to go back to rest equals trust and trust equals obedience. And it was so beautiful. So I started this the beginning of November. Well, the Lord told me this to do this in October. And it was like when I finally decided and put it out there, when I finally decided and I told my current old members, my old Leading Ladies program, now it's Prosperity with Purpose. It's completely revamped, completely different. There's some similarities, but it's very targeted, a 12-week mentorship program called Prosperity with Purpose. JessicaHeffley.com/grow to find all the information out about that. But I want to lead by example in everything I do. So the beginning of November, I taught on rest. I taught on sabbatical. I taught on rhythms. I taught on obedience to God. I taught on radically changing your life to not be so busy. And you know what? It was so well received. I pivoted. I obeyed the Lord, and blessing came. And I had the conversations with people I had to have conversations to. If I had to refund people, if I had to do, there's a couple of things that I had to do. And everybody was great with it because I was walking in obedience to the Lord. And when you walk in obedience to Lord, blessing comes. No sorrow cometh with. Okay. And you know what? The people that, if there is somebody who doesn't understand, like if you make a choice to rest or do something different or change your rhythms or something, and you have somebody that doesn't understand, the best way to help them understand, first of all, it's not your responsibility to make them understand. It's your responsibility to do what God's called you to do. But your living example of your life being different speaks for itself. It will speak for itself. When they notice that you're a person of purpose who lives on purpose, when they see you living a life that is more peaceful, more restful, more intentional, where you have gotten off the hot mess express, that speaks for itself. That speaks volumes. I will say it again. The overwhelmed leader can't help other people who are overwhelmed. The anxious, stressed out person can't help people who are anxious and stressed out. And that's why this is so important. You are a person of purpose who lives on purpose, and that's going to take some slowing down to recalibrate on what your purpose even is. That's going to take some slowing down for your life to not be so busy moving forward. Number 4, this one was really interesting to me. Technology depletes rest. Okay, so let me explain this. So there were certain days, during Christmas vacation, the kids were home, and I would find, like, at the end of the day, I was like, oh, that was so restful. Like, we would have family dinner at the table. We would play a family game. We would maybe watch some episodes of The Chosen. I would kind of maybe organize an area of the house, journal, read my Bible, like all these things. I'm like, oh, that felt really restful. And then I noticed a couple of the other days where I would kind of like, I would be talking to Rob in bed that night and be like, what did I do today? I I literally did nothing today. I laid on my butt was on the couch all day long, like in my robe all day long. And I was watching like mindless YouTube videos with the kids, scrolling my phone some more, scrolling my phone some more, just eating, snacking, laying there, doing nothing. And at the end of the day, I was like, what in the world? It was like, again, from the worldly standards, my physical body was resting. See, notice the air quotes, but I did not feel rested. And that is the difference. That is the difference that you have to be aware of, is that technology can deplete your rest. Okay, when you're scrolling, you're comparing yourself to everybody else. You're looking at what everybody else is doing. You're just intake. You're made to create, by the way. And so if you're just intaking, watching YouTube videos, watching this, intaking, like, something about that is not going to feel restful, because it's not your calling. Your calling is not to intake. Your calling is not to just be a sloth on the couch. And so it was just really, really interesting. So I thought I wanted to share that with you guys. Just be mindful of, during your rest time, maybe making the choice to cut back on technology or cut back on the scrolling. One of my favorite weeks of the entire year, we go to Pine Cove Family Camp out in South Carolina each year with some friends and with my family. And there isn't cell service there. There is at some of the main buildings, but in your cabins and just around the campground, there is not cell service. And I turned my phone off for the entire week. Like, I turn it off. Like, it's off. It's not like, oh, every time I go to the meal cabin, boom, 500 notifications come through, and let me see what everybody else is going on, and the drama and what's happening in the world and the latest news, and no, it's off. And I sleep amazing. I sleep amazing that week. I wake up rested that week. I go on walks every morning. My mind is clear. I hear from the Lord. I end that week in so restful. There is something to technology that depletes your rest. So just wanted to share that with you. Just wanted to share that little nugget. You do with that what you want to. But okay, so number 5, also from one of the fifth lesson I learned from my sabbatical was a renewed purpose. A renewed purpose on what I am called to do. Again, so many people have this fear, whether for themselves or for their team or for anybody else, they have this fear that, like, oh, if someone takes a day off, a week off, a couple days off, if someone rests, then they're going to like love it and become lazy and never come back. So contrary to popular belief, rest does not mean that you will go fall in a hole and stay there forever. I mean, if that does happen to you, we need to like There's some other things that have got to be involved. There's some underlying possibly depression, some other things that are there. But when you rest, when I rested in this way, it renewed my purpose. It renewed my passion. It really surprised me. Like, it was really, really, really fun when I didn't have like the deadlines and the pressure to get things done by this amount of time or work on this project. Like, sometimes when you find like, okay, this is due tomorrow. Like, I've got to get this speech written, or I've got to get this post up, or I've got to get this notes for my training. Like, there comes a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness. And sometimes we get stuck because we sit down and like, okay, I'm going to work on this now. And then nothing comes to mind, or you get distracted, or so it was really fun to sit down and journal about like the revamping of the Prosperity with Purpose mentorship, and even the mini course, How to Get Off the Hot Mess Express. Like, I didn't have work hours during my sabbatical, or I didn't even really work hardly at all, but sometimes I would find myself wanting to sit down and journal and dream, and the Lord would download ideas on what he wanted me to teach you guys, what he wanted me to show you, how he wanted me to do it, how he wanted to incorporate it. I would get incredibly clear on who I serve and how to market this, and just like all these, and it just kept surprising me. Because it was really, really fun. The creativity that came when there wasn't the pressure. So, anyways, these are fascinating. So, the 5 lessons I learned from my sabbatical was rest equals trust, and trust equals obedience. Number 2, change does not just happen. Your life will not just slow down. It is going to cause you to make some decisions to make it slow down. Number 3, some people may not understand. Number 4, technology depletes rest. And number 5, there was a renewed purpose, a clarity of who I am and who I am called to serve. So I really want to challenge you guys, because if we're going to do prosperity with purpose, this has to be with purpose, on purpose. So how are you going to start incorporating rest? Okay, I want to challenge you at the very least 4 hours. 4 hours this week. I want you to incorporate rest in some kind. Turn off the phone, turn off the work, do something enjoyable for you. Do something that refreshes your soul. Do something to really prosper spirit, soul, and body. To rest. To rest. Like, to do it 4 hours at the very, very least. And then I want to challenge you to at least, work your way up to a day a week, every week, to really incorporate. This is not a legalistic thing. This is not, oh my gosh, what's the rules for this? I want to make sure we don't break it. Like, see how my voice just even changed with the anxiety and franticness of this? Like, his load is easy. His burden is light. This is a gift to you. And this is bigger than you. The reason that you are resting, yes, is for you. It is for you. It is for your physical body and for your brain, y'all. Because when I was saying I was sitting on the couch, but I wasn't resting my brain. Rest. If you incorporate regular rest, it will invigorate your work time. It will bring more passion and purpose back to your work time. So really want to challenge you to do that. And thank you again for being here. You overwhelmed business owners, you don't have to be overwhelmed anymore. That's why I am here to help you handle stress, here to help you create more peace, here to help you make more money. So we're going to get into those topics in the episodes coming up. But I hope this blessed you, and I hope you are blessed. I know you will, by your rest this week. See you next time.